we've conducted a lot of time, effort, and energy in terms of surveying our residents to understand what they want, right? So go back to 2021, which is now 3 years ago. It sounds crazy to say.
It is.
We engaged Nucleus, a great vendor partner,
Of course.
to survey thousands of our Class A renters. What we found is 86% of the respondents favor smart home in their units. This is in 2021.
It's a big number.
And 45% at the time were making decisions based on smart thermostats and smart locks. So certainly today that number's elevated itself, and you can walk in after your credentials and you're authorized. You can have your phone in your pocket from the very start of your tour, meaning walking into the community, driving into the community, you get full access all the way through the amenities, through your actual apartment without ever touching your phone. There's no keys. There's no need for those fobs that we know are traditionally in multifamily.
Yep.
So just the user experience is frictionless.
One of the biggest things, and this is really one of the things that I think all ownership groups are talking about, the ability to manage vacant unit costs.
We're back. We're ready to roll for another fantastic episode with Multifamily Forward, presented by Mark Taylor Residential. I'm Adam Greco, and everyone's friend, Mr. John Carlson. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Fantastic's a bit presumptuous, don't you think? We haven't had the episode yet.
Oh no, I'm forecasting everything's going to be fantastic. I have no worries. I have no issues whatsoever. So we're going to talk everything smart home tech. But I wanted to share this with you because I was introduced to a potential new client, a local developer from one of our great and fantastic builders, Gary Blakesley. Dan Duff is from Blueprint Capital. A little shout out to David Free. David, it's great to see you. Thank you for following us and watching. We appreciate the feedback as well. So again, thank you, Gary, Dan, and also David, of course. But so we have a very special guest, Mr. Buddy himself, Scott Stamilio with iApartments. And again, we're going to talk everything smart home tech. But John, let's start out. One of our mottos, many mottos that we love and we embrace: innovate today for an exceptional tomorrow. Let's explain how this concept works for us in the smart home tech realm.
Well, I think just broadly, it's really important as an organization that you continuously focus on innovation and future-proofing yourself for tomorrow. I don't think it's an option at this point based on where technology has gone.
Right.
So when you think about zooming into multifamily and smart home, I'll get to some data points later, but really it's the evolution of what our renter dynamics want and eventually need. So when I think about smart home, it's very evident today that the early adoption phase is over. That's already happened. So
Right.
Now we're into, you think about all of the new supply nationally. Almost every provider is creating some sort of smart home package. So the question is, how do you adapt to ensure that your assets that are potentially, 3, 5, 10, 15 years old are staying up with the Joneses?
Sure.
And I think smart home is a big piece of that. And we'll get to the data in a second, but it's really about that fluidity of use. A resident doesn't want to carry a physical key. A resident doesn't want to have to wait to get home in Phoenix, Arizona on August 5th when it's 110 degrees out to turn their thermostat down to cool down their apartment. So all of these things are driven by consumer behavior. And certainly we know that it's wanted today.
Absolutely. And it's taken the industry by storm, of course.
No question.
No question. How about we bring in the expert?
Just so you know, I did stretch before this
This is gonna be a
podcast
good
just
one?
in case we have to carry him.
Yeah. It could happen. It could happen.
That's right.
Let's bring in Mr. Scott Stamilio.
Let's do it.
He's here, and we're so excited to have him, the Chief Revenue Officer of iApartments, Mr. Scott Stamilio. Scotty, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
Welcome,
I'm here.
buddy.
I'm here.
He
Yeah.
flew out especially for us today because you had nothing else going this weekend,
Oh,
right?
of course not. No.
No, there's nothing
going on.
important happening in your life right now, right?
Not that I can think of, no.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just dive in. Let's get
Okay,
the
great.
audience get to know you a little bit. So you have a long, illustrious career as an industry supplier in multifamily specifically. But I think you have a new job that just happened 5 weeks ago to the day, as you just shared.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about.
You're a
And
brand
yes,
new dad.
CDO.
I am, yes.
Chief Dad Officer?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, new title. For sure. I got to
Congratulations.
get new cards made.
Mom Emily is absolutely beautiful and just doing well.
Thank you.
And
Thank
little
you.
baby Leo.
Yes.
Can we see Leo?
We
Yes,
have some
we
photos.
We can. Oh yeah. I don't know if
You're going to have to hone in on that one.
Yeah. He's 5 weeks today. So I was able to get out. The in-laws are in town. Emily's parents got in from Pittsburgh yesterday to fly in. So they also flew in so I could fly in. So
how about, it's just
it's all about Mark
family
Taylor.
affair. Just
all
a
about you
family
guys.
affair.
All about you guys. All about you guys. But
this is
we're doing
the
great.
first time that you've been away.
It is.
From how does it feel? Because as both of us being dads,
it was.
I remember that first trip.
It was a little tough. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
When I was leaving this morning at 4:30 in the morning to go grab my flight in Santa Barbara, it was a little tough. It was a feeling I never felt before.
Oh man, I'm just so happy for you.
Yeah,
we're just
thanks.
all of us. We're just so happy for you. Well, thank you again for being here. That means the world to us.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
So, of course, Chief Revenue Officer, iApartments. I mentioned, of course, your illustrious career.
29 years in multifamily. I did the math the other day. I was like, wow.
And you're only
I am
35.
old. Yeah, crazy, huh?
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
amazing.
I started early.
Yeah, good for you. Well, give us a little history on what you've done.
So out of school, I started in the multifamily industry. Somebody gave me an opportunity to sell MRO products back from a company that used to be around. It got gobbled up into HD Supply conglomerate. Did that for quite a while. Then I started back with another gentleman you guys know by the name of Dave Magriso, who started iApartments.
Absolutely.
And this is our second go around. So he started a company back then that was called Valley Waste, which is now Valley Living. Somebody in this stable knows them very well and has somebody that works there as well. So we grew that company from a little Florida-based company to nationwide. It's really what got me out here, what got me in Arizona when John and I met, and Dale and all you guys. And I started really developing relationships in Phoenix and California, Denver. We planted our flag out here with Mark Taylor then. And then I got into the insurance world with ePremium. And I was with them for 8 years. Great run there. We learned a lot. Through all this, my tenure within multifamily, I was really fortunate and blessed to have good leadership and have a lot of really good mentors.
Makes a difference.
Huge.
Yep.
And it was,
makes a difference.
Really that necessarily is not the path for everybody or not the experience for everybody. So I, recall just starting when I first started, way back in the day, and things that were taught to me then that I still apply now, and just values and work ethic and showing up and,
rise and grind.
Yeah, exactly. Having thick skin and developing relationships. And that's really what multifamily to me has been all about. The opportunities, developing relationships, no matter what you do, where you go, those relationships specifically, I think within our industry, are very strong and can really, help you no matter what you decide to do.
So you mentioned just you have a national reach. I mean, you're not just Arizona, California. You
Correct.
are across the country.
Mm-hmm.
What could you define as something unique about our industry?
I think
over the years?
Really the relationships. It's an industry where you get into and you can really, there's so much opportunity to really do whatever you want. There's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different roads that you can, pursue. But having those relationships and building that integrity and that trust really will and the work ethic, I think, is really the big piece of it. That I think is unique to specific to multifamily, compared to other industries you may get into that are a little more cutthroat. That it's more about maybe your degree or maybe more about your resume than it is actually, how well people know you and how much they trust
and
you.
the impact that you make along the way.
No matter what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Well, of course, we're here to talk everything smart home technology, right?
We'll try.
You, iApartments, one of our very, very, very valued industry partners, vendor partners, along with many more. We could not, as far as Mark Taylor and many of your other clients, would not be as successful as we are today without, of course, your leadership, guidance, help, support, et cetera. And the list goes on and on and on. So let's talk a little bit about the impact from ownership to management perspective on why smart home technology is worth the investment.
Yeah. lot of benefits there. And I think that's one of the good things about it. You can, different ownership groups, different management companies, they have different goals, different objectives. I think that, one, you have to find out what those are. Instead of just, kind of going in and selling or trying to push something down somebody's throat, so to speak, or, what your product or what your service does. I think finding out, where's the pain point and where can you add value. And I think with smart home, there's a lot of different buckets there. Obviously, can, from an ownership standpoint, can add value to the property, will add value to the property. From a resident amenity, being able to differentiate yourself from other properties. John mentioned, kind of we're out of that new stage now, so to speak. But we're still, I think, the across the country, about 2% of all multifamily properties, have smart tech. So blue ocean still out there.
Right.
But residents are now getting used to that. I mentioned
asking, expecting.
Yeah, exactly. They lived in a community before that had smart home. Now the next community to go to, whether they renew at their current community or go to the next one, they're going to expect that. It was kind of, I mentioned, valet.
Sure.
It was kind of that way with valet and how valet, kind of snowballed. And you can go through a lot of different amenities. From an operating efficiency, being able to automate, being able to, for a property to go keyless, from a asset preservation, having leak detection and things like that, where, a property can, now that's actually morphing into insurance savings for commercial carriers and commercial policies 100%. And things like that.
And shame on me for not starting off with this question from the beginning. Let's define smart home tech. What does that mean?
Basically, what that is smart devices within an apartment unit. So, basics what most platforms have are a smart thermostat, smart access entry lock. And then there's other smart devices, and different platforms offer different devices, such as, like I said, leak sensors, smart switches, smart outlets, things like that. Now we're getting into, garage door openers and window coverings things like that. And then from there, that's the interior of the unit. Now we're getting into the exterior, perimeter access control systems, and all of those being integrated is really what owners are looking for now. Kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And then you get into self-guided tours and
we're going to talk more on that.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, John, you mentioned this earlier. Just residents love having just one option, that you're not having to carry 5 different devices to get through all the common areas, your own apartment, et cetera, et cetera. What's been the impact for smart home technology for Mark Taylor specifically?
Well, we've conducted a lot of time, effort, and energy in terms of surveying our residents to understand what they want, right? So go back to 2021, which is now 3 years ago. It sounds crazy to say.
It is.
We engaged Nucleus, a great vendor partner,
of course,
to survey thousands of our Class A renters. And what we found is 86% of the respondents favor smart home in their units. This is in 2021.
It's a big number.
And 45% at the time were making decisions based on smart thermostats and smart locks. So certainly today that number's elevated itself. And I think you just have to go back and look, think historically, look at the record of innovation, going from horse to car, outhouse to indoor plumbing, lantern to electricity, landline to self. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Humans from typewriters to computers, we're here. So, and we're not even into really the early stages of AI. It's just beginning, right? It was just born, more or less, from a practical application perspective. So I think AI will transform smart home itself.
Agreed.
So for us, it's really about meeting the needs of the residents, and we think of it really from 3 buckets. So it's residents, it's employees, and it's clients. So residents are saying they want it. Employees, based on ease of use, frictionless situations, we don't have to carry 1,000 keys when we do our quarterly inspections. We can actually send a code out to get access, lockout, tagouts. It's just a better experience for employees. We can track all of the things Scott mentioned. Leak sensors. Hey, there's a flood in the 4th floor unit. Guess what? We're getting alerted right away, so we can shut that down, save contents and resident issues on 3, 2, and 1. It's just such a substantial lift for employees and management. And then for ownership, it saves in costs, right? You're reducing all of those. One leak can cost you the entire amount of that smart home installation in just one time. Pay for it.
And we've seen that.
Right. So you think about returns. There's so much pressure, NOI pressure from an expense perspective. So it's wage inflation, it's insurance pressure. cost to doing business, turns, equipment, all of that stuff is impacting NOI. So this is an opportunity for everyone to win: residents, employees, management companies, and ownership groups.
Love it. Let's talk a little bit about efficiencies that Smart Home has provided us just throughout all the different product types.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, and this is really one of the things that I think all ownership groups are talking about, the ability to manage vacant unit costs. And when I say vacant unit costs, temperature. Instead of after someone moves out, you've got maintenance going in, and they're making sure the temperature is set at a certain temperature, the door is locked,
especially
things are
here in
turned
Arizona.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. With enterprise level systems, everything can be done. That can all be done. Temperatures can be set, integrated with the PMS platform. It goes into a vacant mode type of setting, and your temperature gets set. So that owner knows, that property manager knows that all their vacant units are set at the same temperature. So energy savings, efficiency, not having someone to go in and manually do that, and having a peace of mind that, that will be done.
And talking efficiencies, why is it so essential to us as property managers and owners as well?
Really, we always consider technology, specialization, and I'll say, how do you get from point A to point B in the most efficient manner possible? How do we streamline all of those things operationally? So we're impacting employees, meaning we're helping their job, their role, to better that experience. They can do more things. It's really about output and production, and that translates into a better user experience for residents. So you think about what we focus on keenly is 5-star experience, and if we're allowed to implement this type of program into a community, within a short amount of time, the residents are experiencing Mark Taylor in their home in a better fashion. That translates into what? A stickier environment for less turnover.
Absolutely.
So people are more apt to renew. Hey, I love living here, and these are some of the components as to why. And it just translates into that better Google review. Hey, 5-star review.
Yep.
Adam helped me today. I was locked out. He took care of my code. I was able to get in my unit. It was 105 degrees out, but I was in there in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All of those things. So I just think there's really no no's from this standpoint. It's about how it evolves. So I think the question I oftentimes get, what happens in 5 years? Will this technology be relevant? I think it'll transform itself. It will be better than it is today.
Yeah.
I know iApartments and others are working on that. But certainly today it meets the needs of what we're trying to accomplish, and I'm excited about what's ahead.
Love it. Love it. So, Scott, thinking from looking through the lens of a developer ownership group, and let's define two different types of property: meaning stabilized, already developed, didn't have smart home technology, maybe just a little bit older vintage, to new builds. If a developer owner is wanting to implement this, which of course is the right direction to go, what are some of the things they need to be thinking about?
Yeah, one, get a hold of whoever your provider as soon as possible.
iApartments specifically would be great.
Specifically,
okay.
Yes.
Just
don't
want
to be too biased, but yes.
Throwing you up a little loud there for you, Scott.
There's no time that is too soon, so to speak. And then really, obviously looking at if they're using a property management company, what type of management software are they going to use? Looking at those companies and, what type of integrations do they have? What type of devices are they looking for? What are their goals? What are they is this going to be something that they want to look at raising money on, or from a resident chargeback, or are they really looking to, possibly lower their commercial insurance bill or things like that? And then really digging into, and John did such a great job with this, and there's some other clients here in Phoenix as well. Did a long due diligence period of looking at the scalability of the company, looking what type of integrations they had, who they worked with, what types of companies they worked with, how simple was it for the resident, what kind of training there is, all those types of things. Are really important because we've seen developers and we've seen multifamily owners go down roads and take kind of the cheap route. And there's also been a lot of companies that have come and gone within multifamily. They don't understand how multifamily operators operate. They're not enterprise level systems. They've come from a sector where they were selling to a single-family homeowner and buying a device at Home Depot or at, Best Buy.
Right.
And those companies have come and gone and said, oh, this is not single-family home, and they've exited. So, and then you're stuck with all these devices. And that's the one thing to remember, and what we try to tell people, whatever decision you're making, okay, wherever it may be, hopefully it's iApartments, once you install that, it becomes part of the unit.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not going to really remember what you paid for it when you're ripping it out because it doesn't work.
Right.
So those are the types of things we try to educate developers on and owners, whether they're doing new construction or whether they're doing retrofits on stabilized properties.
And this is perfect to throw it over to you because we've learned on both sides, stabilized and new developments, implementation. We've become better, of course, with Scott's guidance and his entire team. But what do we see as far as what we've learned as a management company to help our clients?
Yeah, certainly the implementation process has streamlined itself, meaning we've become much more efficient. We obviously had some growing pains during our first install and second, but really understanding, through our strategic planning and really implementation process, partnering with the right group so that there's proper communication, specifically with the residents and the on-site teams. So that's delivered quickly because, almost always, and I don't think this is only for iApartments, but most groups are saying we got to install this whole system, every unit within a week or two, right? Because you're allocating a lot of manpower and resources to go and do that.
Yep.
So you're flying people to certain parts of the country. So you really have to be dialed in. You can't have, 17 units that are locked out. So you have to come back. So there's a sequence of those things. But what I can tell you, and this is just experience, when you think about when it's done right, and I'll use San Pedro as one example, just one of our many communities that have been retrofitted, not brand new, with OpenPath in terms of access controls for the community, along with iApartments. So you can be a prospect just wanting an SGT or a self-guided tour. You can walk in after your credentials and you're authorized. You can have your phone in your pocket from the very start of your tour, meaning walking into the community, driving into the community, you get full access all the way through the amenities, through your actual apartment, without ever touching your phone. There's no keys. There's no need for those fobs that we know are traditionally in multifamily.
Yep.
So just the user experience is frictionless. And I think that's what people are seeking. They want fluidity. There's a reason we have these. They're phenomenal, right? Yeah. I think back to my first Qualcomm phone in 1995, I think it was. It's the level of sophistication, ease of use is so different. And I think that's what prospects and residents will soon experience and expect. Because they're starting to touch it. If you live at San Pedro, the last thing you want to do is pick up a physical key and grab a fob. Oh, and I need a gate key for the amenity.
A remote, everything. Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm going to wash it. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that resident going to another community and having to do that again?
No.
It's like
they're going to.
I had Wi-Fi, then I don't want it. Then I'm not going to have it anymore. So it's just a big step back.
Well, I'm going to be just kind of. You guys know this, not the entire audience, but maybe they do. I'm not the smartest when it comes to technology. Yeah. And I was a tester of the self-guided tours, and I ran through from start to finish. It was seamless. It was
you can do it.
If I can do it, anybody can do it. It was seamless.
Wow.
And just that easy. So kudos to you. It was great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Very good.
Awesome.
So Scott, let's talk about, you mentioned there's a number of suppliers that have tried to get into this into the space. We know who the big players are, iApartments being one of them. Having good competition, of course, just elevates the product that much
100%.
quicker. So where do you see the technology advancing for smart home tech looking into the future?
Yeah, well, John mentioned AI for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And, you could go down a rabbit hole trying to, really figure out, when, where, how much really the consumer or the, the residents allow that to, and who's really the first adopter there. But to your point, yes, we always want good competitors. Like I said, everybody benefits from that. But more devices, immediate future, just more smart devices being added, being more seamless. Really, from a app perspective or a resident perspective, everything really being integrated. So they can do everything on one app, whether it's leasing an apartment, self-guided tours, control their phone, messaging, everything when they
Yeah.
move in on one app. Any other platforms that you guys may have, and I know there's a lot of them that residents have access to, online payments, that all being one. We definitely see that in the near future, and there's a lot of talks around that as well. So I would say integrations really, and making it just simpler for residents to have that experience
And leasing
that you guys
staffs
are
too.
looking for.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and leasing staffs as well, more efficient. As this gets into more of the centralization with self-guided tours, more optimization, more automation at the site level, making it easier for you guys to, accomplish your goal of, and a lot of other companies. You guys are definitely one of the leaders that we see across the country in centralization, but more of that's coming as well.
Do you see a specific part of the country embracing this more so than other parts? Is there? I mean, I'm trying to get you to say Arizona is really good at
100%.
Okay,
but that's kind of how it's been for a lot of different things.
That's great.
Really, the Sun Belt states is
Right.
what we always refer to. But yeah, Arizona, absolutely. I mean, and you guys know that you're as data driven as any company, if not the best, providing that. I mean, you guys see, what's come down the pipe in the last several years, especially in the technology field, how well it's been adopted, and what your residents, your clients, your customers are asking for.
And John, I kind of skipped over this. I'm going to come back to you on this one because, of course, smart home technology plays a huge role in our, I'm going to call it heightened version of centralization, ION, Integrated Operations Network. At what point did smart home technology come into that picture for us?
It's always been part of the strategic plan. So when we produced our white paper back in 2020 on why smart home, that was really just one of the pieces that we were building into ION, which we started really in early 2020. And I think full circle, if you envision where we are today, you look at ION, our centralized platform. AI is a big piece of that. Technology is a big piece of that, and really trying to build all these tools to support our great team, our
Right.
concierge team, our on-site teams, and that's why we call it hybrid. And I think the evolution of technology with smart home and understanding what residents want and how we can support our employee base, so they're like, hey, I love working here for all of these reasons. I think that seamless approach, or focus will benefit all of us long term. And, we need great vendors like iApartments and others to support us in that way.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw one more question in for you, Scott. You mentioned, of course, just how easy, efficient it is for residents, right? One thing I think is it's important to mention is you're not pulling your phone out at all to gain access in most cases, right? I mean, you could have it in your pocket. Say you're carrying a couple things and you want to go to a certain spot as far as the amenity space, weight room, whatever it may be. Yep. You don't need to pull your phone out to put
It's
it
touchless.
to. It's touchless.
Yes, exactly. The readers now, most of them will recognize that your phone's on you. It's
amazing.
In a certain proximity. Yes.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we have a tradition, as you know, to share a little bit about what we're grateful for today. I have an idea what you're going to say. And Emily, we're holding them to this. We promise.
Spring training, Yankees are back.
Yeah, exactly. The Rangers are doing
last
well. Mr. Stamilio, what are you grateful for today?
I mean, it was me smacking right in the face this morning when I left. It was a different feeling, leaving the house, with that little guy there than I've ever felt before. And I've been on the road and done many trips for many years.
Yes, yeah.
So very, very grateful for my family and the opportunity to be a dad. It's taken me a while. I kid with people that I did the empty nester thing first.
Yeah, nice.
So,
You're doing it,
just in
backwards.
reverse.
Yeah, I love it.
Exactly. But absolutely, 100%.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
JC.
I mean, personal story. I'm grateful to be alive today. My car is not in good condition from my accident last night.
Had no idea.
Got in an accident, took out a Tesla. A gentleman pulled in front of me, turning left.
He took out one of those.
Tesla's heavy,
sir.
took out my whole front, bruised my knee. But as I told him 5 minutes after the accident, car's going to be replaced. We're still alive. So grateful to be alive. Grateful that he's okay. I'm okay. No one was injured. And glad I could be here today to support the podcast and listen to Mr. Stamilio and see a picture
Pleasure
of
is
Leo
all
and
mine.
hang out with you.
Well, we got
Pretty straightforward.
You got a lot of people that depend on you, so I think we're grateful for the same thing.
My 3 dogs.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
the 3 dogs, yes, which you did mention at Clubhouse Chat this morning.
I did. I
think-
want them to
yeah.
go to the picnic.
You do want them to go to the picnic.
Excuse me. I think that was his way of trying to ask you to pick him up every day.
Yeah, sure, sure.
He doesn't need to
Yeah.
drive here anymore. He's too valuable.
Bus leaves at 5:30. Be there at 5:15.
All right, I'll be there. I'm going to throw something in here, and I know this is it's going to sound like a little bit of a joke, but I mean this heartfelt. Having 2 gentlemen on the end with vowels at the end of their names, sandwiching in between Mr. Minnesota himself. This is nice. I kind of like this.
I mean, I love Italian food. I love you knuckleheads. I mean, yeah, it's not a bad place to be.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
Could be worse. Yes.
Scotty, thank you again for being here.
Thank you
again,
guys.
I know
My
that's
pleasure.
tough to break out, especially with everything
worth
new in your life. You and Emily.
I hope we're not in trouble. Emily might, we might be on the naughty list.
We've mentioned her so many times. Emily.
Yeah, you're doing good
We love
there.
her.
You're doing
We
good
love
there.
her.
Yeah, absolutely. No, my
I heard
pleasure.
she loves our name too, so I appreciate that,
Yeah,
Emily.
Yeah, she'll send you a text for sure.
A text or maybe leave a comment, Em. Just
Maybe.
leave us a
She
comment.
could phone
Something
in one
positive.
day. Phone in, but glad to support you guys. I've seen all the episodes. Awesome. Keep it going. I'd love to be back. This was fun. And yeah, let me know if I can ever do anything for you.
You got it, as always. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Great episode, Multifamily Forward, presented by Mark Taylor Residential. We'll see you soon.